The Torah portion Balak opens with a deeply human moment, fear of the other. Balak, king of Moab, sees that the Israelites camped on his border and he panics. They haven't attacked him. In fact, they ask permission to pass through peacefully. But their very presence, their size, their past victories, their unfamiliar ways threatens him. Fear narrows the heart and it clouds the judgment. It blinds us to the humanity of those we fear. And rather than seek dialogue, Balak turns to the dark arts. He hires Balaam, a mercenary prophet of ambiguous loyalty and of dangerous power, not to fight Israel, but to curse them. He doesn't need swords, he has words, the use of speech as a weapon. In its commentary on Balaam, the Zohar teaches that figures like him derive their power not from divine holiness, but by tapping into the shadow side of the tree of life, the dark side of the force, if you will, a realm of spiritual distortion known as the Sitra Achra, or the other side. From there they can access potent forces and perform acts that appear miracle, seducing the masses with charisma and spectacle. The Zohar warns that such individuals gain popularity because they speak with authority and they perform magic. They manipulate language itself. And to many, language equals magic. Did you know that the word abracadabra comes from Aramaic, meaning something like, I will create as I speak, or the one who creates as he speaks? Words shape perception. They steer emotions and they create reality. False prophets, then and now, weaponize speech to spin illusions, inflame fear, and lead people astray under the guise of truth. The Zohar even notes that the names Balak and Balaam together can be rearranged to form Amalek. Balaam, Balak, Amalek. Amalek is the archetype of evil, of doubt, of destruction in Jewish memory. Amalek, the one who attacks the weak from behind. Amalek, who arises in every generation, not always with weapons, sometimes with microphones. Balak is the fearful ruler. Balaam is the manipulative voice. We might say Balaam is the original spin doctor, the media weaponized. Together, they represent a perennial danger, executive power fused with demagogic language. We know this dynamic. We've seen it in the 20th century in Europe, where charismatic tyrants rose through rhetorical fire and nationalist paranoia. We see it in today's world, where fear of the other becomes political currency, and words are used not to heal, but to polarize, to confuse, and to incite people. Balak's fear of the Israelites is not an isolated event in the Bible. It's actually a pattern we recognize throughout history, including our own. The Israelites are often seen by their neighbors as a mysterious and threatening presence, and across time, Jews themselves have often been the object of suspicion and hatred, seen as aliens, scapegoats, or outsiders. We live in a time when fear of the other is once again on the rise. Political divisions in the United States often reduce people to stereotypes. Liberals and conservatives, red and blue, urban and rural, MAGA and woke, each is portrayed as a threat to the other's ways of life. We also have racial and political polarizations. This is often built on the fear of them, whoever them may be. Immigrants and minorities are too often seen as threats to an imagined identity. And this is happening globally, in South America, in Europe, in Africa, everywhere. Economic instability often turns minorities and migrants into scapegoats. In Israel today, fear between Jews and Arabs can fuel cycles of mistrust and violence. Fear-based rhetoric fuels security policies, identity, the nature of democracy, and even our theologies. And Jews across the world too are very afraid, facing anti-Semitism, terror, and the fear of cultural erasure. All this fear is very real. We must not pretend otherwise. But the spiritual question is, what do we do with that fear? The irony in the Torah is sharp. Balak's fear backfires. Balaam, brought to curse, ends up blessing. What emerges from this fear-driven plot is one of the most beautiful verses in the whole Torah. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel. How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. This is from Numbers 24, verse 5. The prophet who came to curse ends up praising the way Israel arranges its camp, with dignity, with modesty, with openness. It is not the strength of arms or wealth that Balaam blesses, but the way the people dwell. In sharp contrast to Balak's paranoia is the image of the tents of the descendants of Abraham. Do you remember Abraham's tent? According to the Midrash and the Talmud, Abraham kept his tent open on all four sides so that travelers from any direction could enter without hesitation. His hospitality is not just an act of kindness, it is a spiritual prerogative. Abraham lives without fear of the stranger. He welcomes the unknown even when it challenges him. This openness is not naive. Abraham lived in dangerous times. He had every reason to be wary. But he chose trust, not suspicion. He chose to relate to others through chesed, through loving kindness, not through fear. This is our calling as descendants of Abraham, to keep our tents open, to practice radical hospitality, not only with food and shelter, but with our minds and our hearts, to create homes and communities where the other is not feared, but perhaps even embraced. Of course, we must not dismiss these fears. There are real dangers in the world. Abraham's tent was open, but it was still guarded. Hospitality does not mean recklessness. But here lies the challenge. Can we hold our fear without letting it define us? Can we remain open even as we remain cautious? Can we remember that every human being is created B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God, even those we fear, even those we do not understand, or they who don't understand us? The Midrash contrasts Balak with Jethro, Moses' father-in-law. Jethro also saw Israel from the outside, but he responded with openness. He came to learn, to bless, and to join. We too can choose which path to follow. We can be like Balak, reacting with fear, or like Jethro, reaching for blessings. Balaam's blessing has become now part of our daily liturgy. Every morning, Jews around the world begin their prayers with his words, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. It is a powerful irony. The most beautiful words of praise for Israel came from a non-Israelite hired to curse. This, perhaps, is the Torah's gift to us, a reminder that even those outside our community can see the beauty in us. But it is up to us to live up to that blessing. Our tents, our homes, our communities, our hearts must be goodly and open. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel. How goodly are your tents, O Jacob. May we make them worthy of the blessing we have been given.